There we go. And welcome to Nerd Stalker. I am Adolfo Fronda. Hello, Greg Valoria, my friend.
Hello, this is Social
How are you?
Greg here on Twitter for the Nerd Stalker Media Network. Hey, it's been a long time, huh?
Yeah, very nice. Very long time. And for you people listening out there, I have a white sun square on the side of my cheek here, which you fortunately cannot see because of Greg's insolence. He didn't position the lighting rig close enough to my... He didn't get my makeup right, basically, is what I'm complaining about.
Call for makeup, man, and 10 people will come towards you, Adolfo. We crowdsource that.
My man, it's been a long time. So much has happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just get into this. God, you want to start with events this time? As we always do.
What is going on?
As we always do. What's the mileage tracking app?
Ah,
you still doing that one?
Hey, My Like You. Thanks a lot, guys. You guys do mileage tracking with its free app that you can get. As I scramble to see what I think our code is NerdStalker20.
Yes.
Shows you how prepared I am to blurb about those guys. Nice guys. If you travel out there, you're like a consultant of some kind, creative freelancer, and you do a lot of driving. This thing's great. Automatically tracks your mileage and all that stuff, and it detects logs, calculates all that stuff for you, so you don't have to. Then you can just send it to your accountant or your whoever it is, your payroll office or whatever, and use NerdStalker20 as your promo code, and you get a discount. I think they have a premium level for that, and that's how it works. So check them out at My Like You.
All right, nice. Well, we got going at Founderspace, huh? Oh, I guess I better take that.
Yes, please.
Full disclosure, I'm a mentor at Founderspace, unpaid mentor. Oh, they call it volunteer.
Cool.
And anyway, coming up in December, the 1st and 3rd, we got the Pitch Perfect X, Get in the Ring. It will be Pitch Perfect will be coming onto the scene at Founderspace.
Nice.
It's the world's largest pitching festival ever. So generally, it gets around 70K attendees, but I don't see that happening in the basement of Founderspace. But I guess they'll figure it out. Yeah. No, actually, that's in Hong Kong. So just letting you know, not here. Sorry, I got that. Social Greg got that screwed up. But coming to Santa Clara on December 1st, here in our local area is the VR Sports event. So the Sports Council VS is pleased to announce the first VIP sports and tech event set to take place on December 1st, 2016 in Santa Clara, California. So it starts at 7 p.m. and goes all the way up to 8:30. So very short but concise but focused event. So
it's a VR event, is that what? Nice.
Yeah, the
Very
VR
cool.
Sports. Yeah, it's pretty neat actually. And then
Crazy.
yeah, that is totally crazy. And then Raising Capital in Silicon Valley, Captain Hoff always puts on a great seminar, and that's coming up in the next month as well. So anyway, a lot of stuff happening at Founderspace. What's next year?
Awesome. Sawyer Some. So check it
Oh.
out if you're into wine. I know it's a little off track from the tech thing. Let's see if I can share my screen. Yeah, so SawyerSom.com, Chris Sawyer, the sommelier to the stars. He's all over the place. Check it out. He's an expert on wine. He's got a podcast that I work with him on via the Nerd Stalker Media Network. And check it out. It's called Sawyer Som. Yeah, and it's wonderful. So if you're a wine drinker, check him out. All kinds of great info, expertise, and all that stuff.
All thumbs up, man. All thumbs up. Okay.
Forever.
We get into the middle of the show, huh?
Come on, man.
Okay, let me introduce you into this next one. What's this Silicon Valley Design Jam? You're the UX UI guy on the channel.
Is this my story? Let's skip into that one. First, let's do some.
Okay,
let's do some
let's just go into the releases that have been happening recently. Huh?
Posted there in the show notes from the last time we tried to scramble together. But what I wanted to talk to you, Greg, about is a ton of stuff has happened since the last time we talked. Right? There's Microsoft, there's Apple, there's this giant AT&T acquisition.
Oh
So
yeah,
let's
let's
sort of
talk
just
about that.
go through some of it. Let's start with Microsoft, right? I'm sure you've seen the crazy Surface giant, what is it, like an iMac type of thing, but it's like a touch iMac, right? And
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
strange.
Let me pop it on the screen if I can here.
Yeah, bring it up. Bring it up.
Let's see.
What's going on? Are they drinking apple water over there at Microsoft or what?
There we go. Look at that.
Nice.
So party. So there they are. They're the yeah. Look at that. Don't go away. The new Surface family.
I'm getting scared here that actually they're actually looking cooler than Apple right now.
Right? It's quite nice. I know.
Yeah.
Actually, like stuff and like Apple stuff looks kind of the same, but we'll get to that. But let's talk about how like innovative Microsoft has been lately, right? They've been on this like steady decline of cool in terms of hardware design and actually sort of software design.
I mean, we were all laughing at them about, some of the things they did in the late, 2009, 2010. And then suddenly the last year after the CEO changed, last 2 years.
Well, it seemed like leadership was an issue. It never was really a design issue because they did some awesome stuff from it. We were talking about it way back in Mix, during Mix. Microsoft had this conference called the Mix Conference. And I was hyping it big time because I got to meet their design UX team, their design team, and their Bill Buxton research and a lot of the lead designers who first, worked on Windows Phone UI and just this whole beautiful tile type of interface that they have, right? That later transitioned into the Surface, became that, the small Surface anyways. And very interesting sort of inroads that they were making. Their usage of fonts was really groundbreaking too. What they were doing was very innovative, very risk-taking. I mean, Greg, we were talking about this a long time ago. What seemed to be lagging, like we mentioned, was leadership, commitment to, innovative hardware, sort of opening up the platform, right? That was huge.
Yeah, I always liked the tile thing. In fact, remember we were talking, 3-4 years ago when the Microsoft phone came out, right? And we said, the tile thing's kind of nice actually on that phone. And wow,
that's right.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's just, but I think what has also happened is that these acquisitions have invigorated the people in the company. I think the people felt the same way as we did, or the employees, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
I think they felt there was a lack of leadership because there was just lack of focus and direction, and
a lack of risk too. I think when having your backs on the ropes is very helpful sometimes for a company and for individuals too, because you have to do things that make you uncomfortable to change the course of the ship, because doing the same thing is either a losing, you see the cliff basically a mile down the road, right? And I think that's where they were sort of headed. And I mean, people would never had associated in the past Microsoft with open source software, right? Cloud computing, right? Linux support, and writing native, Apple, OS 10 and iOS applications.
Yeah.
It's crazy when you think of that kind of stuff. So kudos to their leadership and their board for having the courage, whatever, to move in this direction and allowing their their wonderful people who they've had all along, their talent underneath, to do what they do best and what they were always capable of doing, but they just weren't sort of unleashed to do so, right?
Yeah, I think innovation in a big company is just as important as innovation in a startup. I think that there's a reason why, they amass, thousands and thousands of people, but at the same time, if you're not giving them a reason to go to work every day and not just collect their paycheck, they're going to go elsewhere. I mean,
or not,
they lost a lot of people,
or they're just going to sit in their silo and sort of not be innovative, right? Just sort of do like trying to not make waves and punch their 8 hours and get out.
Well, I've been in companies like that, man, and that's not fun. That's not fun.
Yeah, those type of places ain't going anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
or they're certainly not going to be groundbreaking, and they're certainly not going to pick up market share or anything like that. So looking at, what they're doing, and again, all up and down the stack, when we're talking about this hardware, it's really quite nice. There's a lot of the Surface Pro we're looking at here on the screen, if you can see it, and the Surface Studio and the Surface Book. They effectively have, right, a tablet, laptop, and sort of desktop type thing, right? And all of which is both touch screen and keyboard, which is really interesting.
I always thought that approach was really kind of cool, actually. So I it's just that, when they first announced it, it was just kind of like, we didn't really trust them.
Right.
They were still in this thing where, do I really want to go down this road?
Well, I'd argue we're sort of still there to some extent, right? Because the one thing I didn't mention is sort of the underlying software is still a bit problematic, I think, for some people, right? I mean, it's still there's still quirks to it. Definitely.
Yeah, they haven't figured it out, right? I mean, they go and say, okay, your operating system is free, but then they put a time limit on it eventually. It's like,
just all kinds of weird stuff.
Weird.
There's little things that don't, small things that can be rectified. It seems like, like whenever I hear people who have purchased the Surface, they tell me it's good, but, right? So I get a lot of that. It's good, but there's this, and that.
Right.
And if those things, and they don't sound like major things, but there are things that have been sort of pervasive for a long time that should be gone when you're competing with, Google, not only Apple, but Google now, right? And Amazon too, to some extent.
Yeah.
More so.
Yeah.
That's starting to happen.
Amazon to a certain
extent. Another
extent.
really interesting company that's on the ascension. But so anyways, going back to, it's really interesting to see what's happening with Microsoft. They're releasing watches, we saw, revs to their OS. We're seeing these serious revs to their hardware now. Very innovative type stuff we've wanted Apple to do for a long time that they haven't done yet. I would argue the touch screen is sort of or touch, whatever, the keypad touch bar is sort of a half-assed sort of approach to that. But I'm sure they have their reasons. But anyways, interesting to see what Microsoft has done, since the last time we've talked.
Well, can I also bring up another thing that they got a leg up on Apple is the Lynda.com acquisition, right?
Ooh, yeah.
And that's another one, right? I was trying to figure out.
Was that them or LinkedIn? Do you mean LinkedIn?
Well, LinkedIn, which is Microsoft now, right?
No kidding. I didn't even know that. Okay. Oh, that's
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. LinkedIn bought Lynda.com and then Microsoft bought LinkedIn, right? But I talked to we have a big office. LinkedIn has a big office downtown, right? That multi-story building, right? And I have a friend that works there, and he said that it's interesting. He said they were all scared at first, but then now they're feeling a lot more comfortable with Microsoft because Microsoft has had a hands-off approach with LinkedIn, actually. And he said that it's been wonderful because they're operating the same way. Up is still running the show, and he's reporting to the CEO of Microsoft. He's just not running the show, but he's running the same way. And so far, they're operating business as usual and just cleaning up there at LinkedIn. So kudos to them. And I think that Lynda.com acquisition they did a few years ago is now starting to pay off because now, as part of their premium package. And again, LinkedIn is following the Amazon path, right? Mm-hmm. So if you buy into their prime package called premium, you get all these things thrown at you, right? As a LinkedIn member, right? Learning, salary stuff, access, all that stuff that you care about, right? And redefining the world of education, right? As the way that we all learn these days, right? Is YouTube learning is better than a BS anyway now, right?
Yeah, so. YouTube, super strong, for sure. And I do go back to Lynda quite a bit for some things reference-wise. But another really great learning platform too, just to put it out there, one of my app picks actually, or if it can even be considered an app, is Udemy, Udemy.com.
Oh, yeah.
they're really interesting because it's almost crowdsourced classes where you can provide your own class. I'm diverging a bit here, but go with me. Like Greg, you could have your own marketing class, right? Unlike, because Greg's a great marketer, and he could charge whatever $10 for his course, right? And then use that sort of funnel to what I've seen from that, and offer there's some really good courses, and he could funnel that off to some sort of mastermind course where he could charge even more, right, for some more sort of one-on-one training with Greg or something like that. So that's an interesting sort of educational sort of platform that seems to be taken off as well. But yeah, Lynda is sort of the staple, right? The corporate staple, if you will.
Yeah, and their quality is really good. So it's what corporations were doing for a number of years, right? Trying to use their own universities per se to generate their own content to train their own people, right? But nowadays you don't need that anymore. When you have people like companies like lynda.com, LinkedIn to deliver that content and quality content. So,
well, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I definitely would say it's a good sort of supplemental, but I'm always reluctant to sort of not provide or give the option of actual live training, which in classroom, that works for a lot of people to be in classroom, and perhaps they prefer that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, how's your environment in that area in terms of education? I mean, they allow you to go to different paths to get trained and retrained and your choice, or is it still their choice?
Well, I don't talk about my day job on this show.
I know.
But what I will say is, from what I've seen other people in their companies, what I've seen other companies do is they do have some sort of like training budget of some kind, and oftentimes they have to sort of justify it with their higher ups in order to go to that particular training, because it is for the better of the company and as a whole, right? If your team members want to improve themselves, obviously, it can only be a benefit to the company.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry for calling your ass on that one.
I'm talking about other people that I've talked to. So.
Of course, I understand.
And we here as a company only provide me training. I train Greg one-on-one with refers to me as sensei.
His fist. He trains me with his fist.
I have a long cane and a short patient fuse.
Yeah, the caning marks are testament to that education that Adolfo gives me.
You're welcome. Those are like belt stripes.
I earned those stripes, baby. Anyway,
all right, well,
let's go on.
Enough about Microsoft. How about Samsung batteries blowing up, huh?
And washing machines,
washing machines now too, right?
Yeah, the washing machine came out the other day. I don't, next your refrigerators are going to attack you. I don't know, something, I don't know.
Talk about like branding disaster, PR disaster, Samsung, right? They were right there they were being sort of in the same conversation with Apple for a while.
The innovation engines in these big companies are interesting if you think about it. It's just that they could innovate fast because they're so huge, but they also could fail fast because they're so huge. It's a fascinating thing to watch, actually.
I see it. I see it the other way. I don't see innovation because you're huge. I see innovation happen in small teams real quickly, like little squads, if you will, within a big company, perhaps. Really small, like 5 to 10 person teams seem to be innovating. I know at Microsoft, that was one of the things I neglected to mention, is one of the reasons they're innovating so quickly is they've really adopted Agile and Kanban and that whole methodology, Scrum and whatever. I know the Xbox team just took on Kanban with an Agile approach with Kanban, and those guys they're a very small team putting out all kinds of very innovative stuff and constantly releasing updates, new applications, things like that. But Samsung,
let me explain that one.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me explain that one. What I'm thinking is that they're trying to bring technology to the masses, right, with the IoT stuff and everything. Embedding their quote unquote open source controllers into all their appliances, right? But at the same time, I guess what I meant by that is that that they're bringing all this innovation or trying to bring all this innovation into their appliances and other places, but at the same time they're losing their quality.
Yeah. Right.
And it hurts faster in these bigger companies, quite frankly.
Yeah. From what
Right?
I've read, and I don't know if it's true because it's just what I've read or heard or whatever,
Yeah.
is that they were trying to keep pace with Apple and trying to sort of beat the announcement, any of Apple's announcements. And in doing so, they released product that was obviously not fully vetted. Now, whether that's true or not, who knows? But you know what happens a lot with batteries? They blow up. You know what I mean? That happens. I know when having experience way back with the sort of e-bikes and e-scooter technology, that was a very common thing to happen. Hey, remember the hoverboards that everyone was talking about that was catching fire in people's homes?
Well, it's a joke now,
You
right?
know what that is?
Yeah.
That's battery technology, brother.
Yeah.
So, like, it's amazing how, again, backwards we are with battery technology.
Oh, totally. Yeah, we need to be a lot more innovative there. I mean, that's the engine of everything that we work
Right.
on, right?
Or racing to release, too, with another company. Who was it? I know I'm going to bring up Simon Sinek way too much in this podcast, probably. But he's been on my mind as of late for a lot of different reasons. I was interviewed on another podcast called the Scrum Masters podcast Toolbox podcast.
Great interview, man.
And I mentioned him because he said something to me before. But what he said about the thought just escaped me. About there are certain different types of company. He talked to, I think it was Microsoft back in the day. Way back when we were talking about when they were hurting prior leadership, and we talked to some of their executives and their team, and they were saying, we're going to beat those guys at, the competition, right? We're going to beat the competition and we're going to attack. Show me their new product so that we can just, and then he did the same, and he went to Apple and he talked to them, and Apple's like, our goal is just to make a better product than we made last time, and to like satisfy the customer, delight the customer, right? I mean, look at that mindset, right?
Different mindsets, man.
One is fixated on the competition, right? And the other one is creating, right? Creative.
It's culture, baby. I mean, I think that if you take care of business and be 10x better than your competition in your products, all that other stuff will take care of itself. Yeah. Well, I would almost argue if you 10x yourself. Yeah, that's what I mean. 10x yourself. I mean, 10x what you're doing, 10x what you're creating,
or even 1x, whatever, right? You iterate.
Whatever.
Greg point 1, Greg point 2, Greg point 3. You know what I mean? It gets better and better.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I've been in a company that was always fixated on its competition. I mean, we were always focused on, when we do quarterly updates on, okay, what is your competition doing compared to you? Yeah.
Right.
And of course, it isn't good to be that ostrich with the head in the sand, not understanding your competition.
For sure.
But you can't be fixated on, like you just said. That's such a cultural
thing.
Issue with Samsung. And I've been in Samsung facilities, and they're pretty aggressive. I've been in a couple of facilities when I was running another company, and I was just amazed by the aggressive nature of their culture.
Right.
I mean, I was just like feeling it every time I go down the halls, every time I had a meeting with them. It was just like, wow.
And that's not to say that they're gigantic, right? So they are a successful company, but so are boiler room, Wall Street, type of heavy sales type of companies, right? They got super high burnout, right? And turnover. And I doubt like everyone is loving their jobs, but they take that approach of we're going to kill the other guy, or, you know what I mean? We're going to be super aggressive or whatever.
I guess, if Samsung made a hoverboard, would you ride on it?
Yeah, I know, right? Or do you mind being number 2, as a company? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. As long as my batteries don't blow up, I'll be number 3.
Right. So anyway, number 1. So
let's go to let's leave that.
Apple. So they announced everything since we've talked, right? They announced a new iOS version. They announced new watches since the last time we talked. They announced WatchOS too. They announced oh my God, all this new hardware, new MacBook Pros, thank goodness, a new iPhone 7, all kinds of
I
stuff,
mean,
right?
yeah, I mean,
We
the
got
dual
Sierra
camera
now,
phone, I mean, was kind of
new
cool.
operating system.
Yeah,
Yeah,
operating
so
system. But I was going to ask you, why, in your opinion, I've read a couple of things, but why was there such a close announcement? Were they just not ready for that other hardware to pop out? Do you think, or it was kind of interesting. It was only like 6 weeks, wasn't it?
what you mean
Since
for
they had
for the laptops? You
when
mean?
they did the yeah, or it was kind of strange to me. It isn't Apple like, actually. When I saw two announcements relatively close to one another, I thought, but I don't know.
I think I'd heard that they wanted to announce something that wasn't ready. I think and they couldn't release something to that effect. That
I mean,
they,
there again, mindset, like you said, right?
yeah,
Mindset,
yeah,
you know.
exactly. Yeah, don't announce it until it's ready. But it's a trip, this whole new leadership too. Not seeing Steve at the helm, and where you have that creative type, if you will, and then you have an operations guy running the company now,
Oof.
and you see how it's sort of approaching announcements, and you know, and they're not big, exciting type of releases.
No,
For
no,
these things, and it's not like giant, type of like iPhone 7. What can you say about it? Better camera?
yeah, I just like the camera. I don't like,
It's iPhone 7.
and the fact that it doesn't blow up in my pocket.
Doesn't blow up. Yeah, I mean, it looks as beautiful as ever. Sure, yeah. Will I get one eventually? Yeah, probably. And then even with the MacBook Pros, they seem to be phasing out the Air. It looks like, and I'm getting a 15-inch, and then you have the Touch Bar. But seeing the Touch Bar the day after Microsoft announces a full touchscreen iMac, basically, you're like, this little sliding thing. Sure, it's kind of neat how different applications will feature different type of, possible functions on this little Touch Bar thing to use as shortcuts. But
it's almost like Microsoft has entered Apple's body.
Yeah, it's a trip. It's a trip. But everything just seems sort of incremental, But when you look at what I would say, which was a huge improvement, was iOS 10 or the new iOS update, right?
Yeah, I'll admit to that. That was good.
All that stuff that came out with that is quite nice. The haptic touch actually working on all apps now, and all the messaging stuff is pretty cool. Everything seems to run much nicer now. It's definitely a very mature OS, iOS, and I can use my phone for a lot of stuff now, and I know a lot of people are using their iPads now as their primary machine, and not even using laptops anymore for those types.
Yeah, I mean that's and there's some of that argument. You heard in the media where they didn't put a lot of effort in the MacBooks because I think there was a big faction at Apple is saying that we see those things going away eventually.
Yeah. I don't know.
That was the argument I heard of why they were not upgrading those.
I love
things.
my laptop, and perhaps I'm just an old guy who and I'm not the next generation who. These things don't really communicate for but I like my laptop. I don't.
Well,
I'm not a big desktop fan. I don't need the giant iMac. A lot of people do, I suppose, designers and such.
And video guys like me.
There you go. And gamers.
I've gone there. But, I've gone there, but I mean, I always look at it as a tool. It isn't something cool to have on my desk. I don't really care if I have something cool on my desk. I just want something to work. But my laptop is the thing I take around everywhere. I mean, and the Apple laptops are bulletproof. They've proven to me over the years they've been bulletproof. So, carrying them around.
That is true. You are 100% correct. And they ain't cheap now, these MacBook Pros. I'm getting the top of the line 15-inch, everything.
Are you?
Yeah, that's going to be quite a bit. Ooh, and there's this space gray color now, SG, space gray. This dark
Well, you know,
gray color.
it's weird is that they got rid of that color on the phone, so it was interesting to see that one come back. Actually,
Right.
It was just like, wow, you know. But this is scaringly looking like the Microsoft colors. But anyway, you know, I'm not gonna go there. You know, some of the laptops, you know, it's like that dark gray, that space gray thing. But it's okay. You know,
I mean, it sure would be nice to have a touchscreen, you know, type of thing. It'd be neat. I don't know. I just think it'd be neat. I don't know if I would. I don't know. I can imagine. I don't know. A lot of people do it. It's not my thing, but it'd be neat.
well, I think the data they'll see in their sales is going to they may force them to do that, right? Because I heard, you know, their pad sales are kind of like, so, you know,
right.
it's okay,
They're on the decline
right?
now, right? Uh-huh.
Yeah, right. So maybe it's time to marry the two worlds together, right? Instead of trying to make one look like the other.
Yeah.
I mean, at least trying to make the iPad look like the laptop, right?
Yeah.
But
and how about those ports now? They're forcing you to have dongle city, right? So you see these little.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that, huh?
So number one, right? No more headphones on the iPhone, and what?
Okay,
Thunderbolt now,
so
whatever it is, USB-C.
Let me get your take on wireless versus not. I mean, how do you feel as a consumer about that?
Well, for me, I'm always running out of battery. Again, I'm always complaining about battery on the show. So having to always be recharging is concerning to me. So not having a cabled device, if you will, especially with headphones, is disconcerting to me. And they're not even ready. They've delayed the release, which is crazy for Christmas time. But in terms of all these dongles on the MacBook Pros to connect to other type of devices, I can see what they're doing. You know, I understand that whole move. Because I'm looking down at my laptop right now for this show, and I've got a headphone jack, I've got two USBs plugged in right now, and I've got my weird power magnet thing.
Yeah. Well, you know, think about it, right? Think of all the peripheral devices that Apple has lost control to, like a clear example of that is the Square, right? That plugs into the earphone jack, right? And it allows you to do the credit card swipe, right? When they first came out, right?
Right.
Well, that was on a standard, you know, 3.5 millimeter jack, right? and now they've basically given those guys the F finger and say, okay, well, you know, if they want to use your device, they got to buy that dongle, that $100 dongle now. And no, well, you know, not $100, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. Yeah, the iPods, wireless iPods scare me because it's like I'm going to lose them, and they're probably going to make a lot of money on replacement parts.
Yeah, or break them. How often are you going to really put them diligently in the case? But,
you know, I'm going to walk down the street and I said, "Oh, someone dropped their iPod."
Yeah.
Oh,
they're claiming 24-hour battery life. I don't know. You know, something else I have to charge.
I like my wired devices, my headphones. My Sennheisers that have wired, my Audio Technica headphones that have wires. I don't know.
Right.
I'm not ready to jump on the. You know, I think it would be cool to have it. You know, in that case that I do want it disconnected. It's kind of funny is that on the bus now, I'll have my wired headphones on, but I'll just throw my phone in the pack and just listen to music because I'm not going to really. I don't feel like doing any social media or anything on the bus, but
yeah,
you know, I could see in that 45-minute bus ride, a Bluetooth headphone would be kind of cool, but maybe, you know, I don't think I'd use it all the time.
Yeah, no, but I like to have one in one ear. That's my thing. You know, one ear, because in the city on our buses, you got to know what's going around you know, because it can get kind of sketchy sometimes or not.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that'd be kind of weird too. You know, one.
Yeah,
whatever.
So remember we posted that thing on Apple Watch, and then my friend who is an ex-Appler, Geek Pondering, had a friend said, "Oh, wait, that's totally wrong." You know, my friend who works in the store says they can't even keep version 2 on the shelf, and I don't know, but I just keep on. I'm hearing this in the crowd that, you know, Apple Watches are kind of okay, but, you know, any really reason to buy one?
Well, I'm wondering if that's just a sort of like an anomaly in that sort of like the Valley, how we, of course, we inadvertently or inordinately buy technology in one particular area versus the rest of the country. So perhaps the overall national trend, I'm thinking, or even international trend, is that these watch sales are slow and slowing or something like that versus the other product line of Apple, or even versus how they were selling in the beginning. But I don't know. So it's good that we transitioned to watch here, because they did, since last time we announced the Rev to the watch, right?
Do you have a wrist device that you use or not?
I always abandon these things. I had Fitbit, and I just some people, they love it. I'm just not. I don't have the dedication to quantify all these steps and etc.
Right. Yeah, I I feel the way I feel, and if I'm not doing something right, then I readjust it.
Exactly. I don't know. It seems like we're busy people. I've got, we have multiple projects happening. We have, family commitments, friend commitments, social commitments. It's really difficult for me to really sit and look in a spreadsheet of my steps or my, you
want to do that at 9:00 tonight, right?
Let's put it, that it's not very high on the priority list, right?
You're gonna watch the last 30-day data of your steps and say, okay, I better walk more.
And I think I'm the typical use case, I am one of them, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess if you're a younger single sort of person with disposable income, then, perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, I saw that in the Tokyo Society a lot, where people couldn't afford to buy property. So they invested in, they got the most affordable apartment and invested in almost all the geek stuff that you could ever get in your life. Mm-hmm. Right. So, I could see San Francisco turning in our area, turning in that type of culture.
So, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's neat. Would I like one? Absolutely. That'd be cool. I'd like to see what the benefit is, what the gain is, because, from a standing outside the window type of perspective, if you're holding a phone and you're holding your laptop and you've got an iPad, you're looking at this thing, you're going, do I really? Do I really? You got to ask yourself. Yeah, unless you're like an avid jogger or something with, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think they're still figuring the IoT world out, right? I mean, it's still maturing.
I think everyone is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still maturing. I mean,
that's an understatement.
How you could see where this, well, let's go back to that word again, middleware. Remember that word, middleware?
Yeah.
I see that in this IoT space, this middleware thing.
Yeah.
Right? Where
this is a great topic. Let's talk about IoT for a while.
Yeah, really, because how do you make sense of all these devices and what does it mean to you, right? This data, right?
What blows me away is in this type of thing in the home too, is how long we have been talking about it, and I thought by now that we would have a clear-cut leader in the space and dominant players in things like as simple as lights, and we don't have that yet. Right? That's sort of running the whole show. We have this hodgepodge of really neat things that aren't really coalescing quite yet in an elegant type of way. We have.
Yeah, I was hoping your Echo was going to do that. Actually, I mean, I still think it has that potential, but it
absolutely, it absolutely has potential. It's gained a lot of ground. But what's interesting is, as Google just announced Google Home, right? So it's basically an Echo type of competitor, straight up competitor. And we'll see how that goes as well. Hey, I'm not wedded to anything. I just want to see something sort of standardized. And what's really surprising too is, where's Apple in this conversation? I mean, I guess Apple TV is perhaps the sort of,
that's the closest thing,
Trojan horse maybe, or something like that.
With its TV app maybe, but
boy, are they taking their sweet time, right? We already have the Echo, the second generation Echo. We have the pucks now, those dots, Echo dots, the dot now, where you can put in every single room for relatively cheap, like $50-$60, or you can buy that standalone. Really making inroads quickly. Amazon, this is another very interesting company that we're stumbling onto it. But anyways, going back to IoT real quick. They're disparate everywhere. The craziness of Q Lights, right? Wemo. We have IFTTT, as sort of middle where sort of we have the Nest sort of playing in this game as well, and its competitors. We have smart doorbells now. We have smart door locks too, which are of various brands at Home Depot and everything. And it's all over the place, right? We have drop cam, multiple different cameras, canary. I could go on and on. And there's no real leader in this thing, and there's no sort of standard yet. You know, in the music and sort of other world, we had iTunes as being the hub, right, back in the day, for everything. All your devices, your phones, your iPads, still people plug into a machine that runs iTunes, right? And with all these IoT devices, it's kind of all over the place.
Well, you brought up something earlier, right, that made me think about what you just said, right, is that utility, right, when you were talking about the watch, right, how much utility was it for you that you have a Fitbit, right? Mm-hmm. And eventually it just became not utilitarian, right?
Yeah.
It was, right, I mean, in a way, like for Adolfo, right? Yeah, so I think it's like that. It's almost kind of, don't you feel that like they're telling you what you could do it instead of you making that choice almost, or you telling them almost?
Yeah. What's really crazy, it becomes like, in a real world scenario, let's take the hue lights, for instance, right?
Okay.
You have an account, you have an app on your phone, and you have put a hue light in your living room or your bedroom, let's say, right? Unless your significant other or your roommate, whoever you share your room with, has that app installed and is logged in, they can't turn that light on and off, right? Otherwise, they use the physical switch. But no, if you use the physical switch, then I can't turn the light on and off with my phone app, right? So it renders useless. So it's this type of scenario, and that's just the freaking light bulb, one light bulb that is just redonkulous, you know, that we haven't solved that issue yet.
How many Ferrandas does it take to turn on a light bulb?
Right.
You know?
So now we're finding these sort of add-on things like a hue switch, which is like a little puck that has these dots and these little buttons on it, you know, so that you can do that instead of having to click the physical thing, so that my phone app can still turn on the light and I can do my things. But that's an additional $50-$60 or whatever. So it's all kind of sort of afterthought, kind of quirky, and that's just a light bulb scenario. We're not even talking about the other type of stuff, like my Echo, for instance, or even these type of devices like an Echo or a Google Home. If you have Greg's music account, Greg's Google account, but then I walk in and Adolfo, you know, I'm your roommate or one of your roommates, and I'm like, Adolfo, I want my Google account. I want to hear my Google Music or my Google News or whatever. How is that going to work? You know, because right now it doesn't quite work.
Oh no, yeah. In fact, that's what the beauty is of maybe, you know, the Fire Stick or the Chromecast, right? Is that anyone could hook into that and then, you know, do their stuff possibly, but but they still don't have integration, right? So
yeah, it's kind of weird. Well, you bring up, so one scenario I'm looking at here where I run into is I have the Fire Stick on my TV too, among other things, and
right.
If I go and open the YouTube app in my Fire Stick and I'm logged in as me, everyone's going to see my weird YouTube videos that I watch, right? And all my crazy stuff that I watch, and they're gonna. And all of my preferences too. Like I watch some weird stuff. Like I'm big time into archery right now, for instance, right? So they're going to see how to make an arrow, how to, you know, what's the difference between a compound and a recurve bow, and all kinds of really, you know,
nice.
Paint drawing on the wall type of stuff, right? Versus my kid who wants to log in and watch Minecraft videos or whatever, you know, music videos of her preference.
Yeah, whatever, right? Yeah, whatever, right?
She's viewing it as me, so somehow there has to be an elegant switch so that it can be her, you know, her tastes, and vice versa. If I turn on the Fire Stick and I open the YouTube app, I'm going to see a bunch of kid musical videos and Minecraft videos, and hey, where'd my archery videos go? And things get mixed up. So this is the type of thing that needs to be sort of solved still. We're still in the Paleolithic era of this whole thing, it seems like. Right?
He's going to say even Dark Ages.
Faces. You know, all these things have different faces. They're all, you know, totally different from each other. everything requires a login and different password, and that's a whole other nightmare.
I mean, yeah, we'll put the clunky button on that one. I mean, it's clunky. It's
Yeah.
totally clunky, man.
Yeah.
And
Times that.
but I mean, kudos to you. I mean, you went full force after you bought the house. I mean, you went as digital as you could allow it to be. I mean,
Yeah.
as you could allow it to be. I mean, now you're coming back and saying, well, I've hit the wall.
Yeah. I can see how disjointed this is. And so I am looking with like skeptical hippo at things like Google Home and things like that with a very skeptical eye to all these things to see how they'll play together. I'm optimistic and I hope there's a lot of movement quickly. But yeah, I mean, when you got like your Sonos and your Echo and your, Fire Stick and your Apple TV and your Google casting, things and the various musical services that you may subscribe to, whether it's Spotify, Google Play, Apple Music, it's quite a cacophony of things.
There's a buttload of stuff out there. I maybe the next 5 years, maybe. I mean, oh man, I'm glad we talked about this topic though. There's been a lot of things on my mind I wanted to ask you because you've been so connected on the home side with all the technology I see, and a lot of the reviews you do on our channel are a home device related. And so you bring a very good perspective. I mean, I'm not that guy, but it's interesting to watch you hook these things in and tell us how everything's going. I've taken the step over to maybe Chromecast, but that's about as far of a leap in technology that I've allowed myself to go into. But
Chromecast works really quite well for what it does. Basically casting, right? That's essentially what it does. It'll play a video from your device to another device.
Right.
And that's what it does, and it does it well.
But I've run into if we want to talk about that, I've run into problems where the UI, and you're a big UI UX guy, doesn't it quite have the same features as a desktop versus something than the mobile app versus the iOS app for the same thing, right? And it drives me nuts.
Right.
It just drives me nuts. I said, well, wait a minute, I could do that on my phone, but I can't do that here. Or I could do that here, and I can't do that on my phone. What's going on here, guys?
What drives me crazy about Google Cast is only certain content I can cast to at times, and not only that, but certain applications. Yeah. So, for instance, I use Overcast as my podcasting app, right?
Okay.
On my phone, and I can't cast. I want to listen to my podcast on my speaker that has a casting receiver on it in my room. I can't listen to it on that. I got to listen to it on my phone, which kind of sucks, And so the ubiquity isn't quite there for that as much as I would like it to be.
Yeah, I think everyone's echoing the same sentiment. I mean, I think it's been kind of cool that we have these potential devices, but even in the basic mode, like you said, I mean, casting mode, I mean, that I call basic, right? That we're not doing anything difficult, we're not doing anything cutting edge,
Right.
And we still can't get there yet with all the devices. So that seamless delivery of that promise, I think the technology gods have told us that it's coming is this seamless changeover between worlds of devices. As you go in from the outside in. I remember that. I forget who did that ad where you go in from your car, you come in, and everything's just perfect. The world's perfect. We haven't got there yet. So
another weird thing too, I think, is do you happen to use a music service by any chance? Are you like Pandora, Spotify, or Apple Music, or
no? I mean, I always use the free stuff. I have Spotify, but I haven't got any of into the premium services. I mean, I have Amazon Prime, so I have Amazon Music. So
what I found also is a weird thing too. Like for instance, Sonos is actually quite an elegant type of system. And I guess any of these systems can be sort of to some extent as long as you use only it and its sort of ecosystem. But what I've noticed with a lot of these sort of subscription type of services or even free type of services is, for instance, if I have a subscription, a Google Play account, which I also do, and I'm playing something via my Sonos, right, on my living room, and I go and I forget to turn it off and I go for a drive and I try to play my music in my car, it's going to say, oh, you're playing on another device. Do you want to stop the other device? or do you want to stop your device? And this is not just Google Play. This seems to be pervasive, right?
Yeah.
So unless I don't even see a workaround, perhaps a family account or something like that. But I wouldn't understand how that would work if it's just you, if it's just Greg's account and I want my music playing on all my devices in my house and in my car all at the same time.
It has to definitely recognize, it's almost kind of like there has to be some kind of sensor that says, your daughter is now in the room using that device. Now let's bring her world in here. Oh, she's left the room now. Oh, Adolfo is in here. Now let's bring that world into his device. I mean, something has to know that. I'm not sure how
that's
it knows
tricky,
that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tricky scenario problem to solve there. That's a tricky egg to crack for sure, man.
Yeah, I think what was kind of cool is that over we go back to the Microsoft thing again, or Intel, right, with that kind of like real sense technology thing. That might have that potential. I know they're putting it into Microsoft products now. The real sense, where it uses camera, the voice, and some other IR sensor to do something, right? And so one of the technologies that I saw recently was the ability to, touch a non-touch screen with the RealSense technology.
That's neat.
And so, and that's the only thing I could see, Adolfo, where it's using multiple technologies to sense who's using it, right, or who's there, right?
Yeah.
And
I think that was Flying Leap's promise back then too. Was that whole? Sensor below the keyboard that could see your fingers doing stuff, and it would start accordingly or whatever.
Yeah.
What happened to those
Absolutely.
guys?
I don't know. Maybe they turned into a real sense at Intel. I don't know. But
I don't know. So a company that's been quiet lately is Amazon, right?
What's that? Let's talk Amazon.
After all these announcements, I haven't heard much about them. I haven't heard of a new sort of rev to the Echo, since the 2, although I guess they just sort of did that. I can't remember, beginning of year or something like that. They
it was recent. It was this year. Yeah, it was this year.
Yeah. So you would think there would be some sort of, I'm interested to see what next year's or whatever the next rev is to answer Google
What
Home.
they've been doing is interesting though with Amazon. They've been piling on to the Amazon Prime value. Right. They've offered music this year,
primary music,
books, a couple other things like that. So I thought that was interesting, more from a service provider, just saying, hey, you pay $100 a year, you can have everything. Free shipping, 2-day shipping, and get your music, get your videos, and read some books, whatever, for $100 a month. And with people's shopping habits, and and it's funny, they still link it to those shopping habits. So they're saying, we're still an e-commerce site, but you can, if you get the Prime membership, you get these extra benefits, and I thought that's kind of neat.
And they're still a monster. I mean, I don't think a lot of people realize. I think they're the biggest data host pretty much in the world now with Amazon Web Services, AWS. They're pretty much running the whole, everyone. I think Salesforce now is running on AWS.
What?
I think a lot of other companies, they're
big.
They're a behemoth. And for individual developers, it's pennies on the dollar to host. On the dollar to host data now, it's nothing. Their hosting fee is super cheap. Their front end UI is garbage, but in terms of what they're offering, it's super cheap if you want to go through the pains of trying to make it work for you as an individual. I know for companies, you can't get around it. I know Microsoft is trying to compete in this space with I forget what their Azure cloud is, I believe, is what it's called.
Yeah, the Azure cloud.
That they're trying to compete with that, and everyone's trying to compete with Amazon right now. But in terms of cloud hosting, because everything's going that way, right? Applications are now being hosted up in the cloud, and data, everything. So whoever runs the cloud pretty much runs the world now. It used to be like the desktop. It used to be the important place. Not so much anymore. It's all going to the cloud, if you will, and the cloud is more and more becoming Amazon. So it's an interesting sort of quiet takeover. Like you said, Greg, everyone talks, oh, Amazon's an e-commerce company. Oh, really?
No, I don't think so. I think they're a huge ass company now. They're almost looking like a media company, in a funny way.
Yeah,
right. We're going to talk about that later, right? I mean, we're going to talk about the acquisition, right, by AT&T. But I mean,
well, let's go there because I don't know a whole lot about it really, to be honest. But I know that was a big story that broke, right? So AT&T merged with as we see here, hopefully Time Warner, Alina, whatever from NPR. Looks like it was $85.4 billion bid. That's holy cow! It's a ton of money. Yeah.
Get freaking CNN and HuffPo and all those guys.
Oh God! Oh wow! AT&T, Time Warner. Whew. Look at that.
The funny thing about it, right? We're always worried about the AT&T and the monopoly on the phone system way back when, right? and now, okay, well, we're not worried about hardware anymore. We're just going to go buy up all those media companies.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's such an interesting trend because that would have been the last thing I would have guessed. Yeah. I remember who was it that bought when the Time Warner bought AOL. I'm like, what?
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, I didn't get it. But now who would have thought, media is going to be so important?
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone knew.
Content is going to be so important.
Yeah, I don't think anyone knew, right? And, once we hit this whole device barrage, that's when it became a must. Having the ability to get at any kind of piece of information anywhere at any time. And
that's a great
quality.
Point, man. That's a great point because I've always been blinded by hardware, right? In technology, and I've always associated technology with hardware and code to some extent, and software and stuff. But I didn't see beyond that. And you're right. The next step, the evolution after hardware and application, coding, creating applications and solutions like that, technological solutions, is how do you utilize it? People utilize it with, consuming content. And there it is. There's the bread and butter.
Yeah, we screened that FML movie, right? Of these Vine, the Vine stars who created this feature film, right? And it was just apparent to me when I was just looking at it, what that story was really telling me. I mean, it was an entertaining story, but it was really telling me that, anybody who could get some traction could be famous, in their own way, right? And creating some ridiculous content. I mean, Vine videos were like 6-second videos or something like that, right? Right. But these creative guys figured out how to tell a quick 6-second story, right? And it was amazing. Like, oh my God, And that's another story. Vine's gone now.
right. But still, man, if you're a great storyteller and you have it, you can genuinely make a mark now, via podcasting, via, like you said, short form, YouTube, Snapchat.
Did you catch the broadcast on 60 Minutes about influencers, or did you see the thing about that? That was really interesting. They focus on this guy. I'm so sorry. I don't.
You're showing your age by mentioning
guys very close. Yeah,
us young kids, Greg. Sorry, we don't watch 60 Minutes.
Marley Schaefer.
I'm with you. Right. The YouTubes.
Yeah, no, gosh, but it was just apparent. This guy was just making. He had like 3 million followers or whatever the number was. It was over a million, and now he's just, brands are picking him up because he could connect with those 1 million followers, where those brands could never connect to him, right?
Yeah.
So
it's amazing when you see. Now I can see what Vaynerchuk's. Gary Vaynerchuk, he has a media company now, and a lot of it is sort of corralling these influencers and sort of repackaging them to ad agencies and stuff like that. It's really a brilliant move that all ad agencies should be using this playbook and executing on that. Because Greg is absolutely correct. If you have a following, let's say even a huge podcast, like Joe Rogan is someone that I enjoy listening to his podcast, he gets over 1 million downloads per month. And so when you got numbers like that, I mean, TV, it's almost like that's cute and everything. I mean, you definitely want to be leveraging these, and that's just one podcast, right? And
Yeah.
there's a lot of these across the spectrum on every little topic, like our goofy little topic here to talk of, that you can.
Well, Gary's just being like a sports agent, right? I mean, he's the equivalent of the sports agent in the sports world, right?
Right.
He finds these guys that are probably don't have a clue what they have on their hands. Right. Pitches them a great package, and say, hey, I could get these deals for you if you sign with me, and I'll just take my 15% and say thank you.
Yeah. But what's even remarkable too is that talent now is walking into his company and other media companies represented by companies like CAA or what used to be these companies that represent Hollywood stars, right? Actors and actresses.
Right.
And professional athletes. And now they're representing these sort of internet personalities or whatever, digital personalities now, whatever you want to call them. And to start capitalizing on these different type of opportunities like Gary's and other media companies and God knows what other verticals, right?
Yeah. I mean, Vanderchuck was on the 60 Minutes piece as well.
Oh, really? That makes sense.
Yeah. And just to connect the dots, right? Of this social media agent, business, they call it the media company. It's really social media agents, right? Mm-hmm. Trying to sign deals with brands to say, hey, I could deliver you this guy. How much is he worth to you? And
make that for sure. That's the name of the game. It's been played for forever. Yeah, for a long time.
I got to get your agent because he's doing a lot better job than my agent.
Yeah, obviously. All right, brother.
Anyway, let's move on. That was great talk. Yeah, it was great talk.
Let's get right to, what do you say we get to speed round? Yeah?
Yeah, let's do that. Speed round. Instapaper's free now? What?
Instapaper. Mine is real quick and easy. All right, people. Instapaper. Yeah, they just announced a couple days ago. We tweeted about it too. That they're not only are they free, like their premium service is now free. So effectively, Instapaper Premium is free for everyone now. I know they were acquired by I forget who it is. I'd have to Google it real quickly. And so via that acquisition, now they can just sort of provide that. I know there was some concern whether now there won't be feature development or innovation in it, but who cares? It does what it does. For me, I want something where I can, because there was Evernote clearly is what I used so that I could read articles without all the stuff real quickly, right?
Right.
And I'm dabbling in speed reading now too, so I want some feature. Instapaper offers a speed reading feature, another sort of application that I love is called Spreeder. It's an add-on to Chrome that some of you speed readers know. But Instapaper offers this type of feature and this clearly type of feature where you can read websites without all the stuff and nice and quick and easy without distractions, because I get easily distracted, as you can see, everything.
We're talking about a lot tonight.
Yeah. So check it out, Instapaper Premium. It's free now. It's a no-brainer. Go sign up.
You're awesome.
Tell me if you don't.
Awesome. All right, let's move on. LinkedIn salary. Well, this is not sexy, but if you go in with that again premium account in LinkedIn, they don't call it Prime, they call it Premium. You now could get total guidance with LinkedIn salary. So they just announced it a couple of days, and so go and you put in a job title, they'll give you a distribution of the base salary. I mean, they give you all this data, and let you find out in your area what that type of person's worth, what they're garnering. It's just another again big data play on LinkedIn's part, who has all the data, right, to just share with you how to be a lot more competitive in the market, which is great. It helps everybody, right? Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I mean,
Microsoft. There we go. Microsoft again. Doing something interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, why would we do that? Okay.
Yeah. And by the way, people, Instapaper was acquired by Pinterest way back, so that was the company I was trying to know.
Pinterest. Wow, that's an interesting marriage.
Who owns Pinterest? I can't remember. I'll have to look.
I don't know. I thought they were privately owned still, but wow, that's an interesting marriage, actually.
Pinterest.
I never thought about that. Pinterest is an interesting company.
Look at Greg, all smart. Pinterest is a privately held company. Look at him. Owned by Benjamin Silberman, Paul Sciarra, and Evan Sharp.
And Adolfo Ferrando.
Yeah.
Hey, what have you been holding on?
They probably came to me and I went, that sounds like a stupid idea. Turn it down. Move on.
There's been a million of those.
Yeah.
Twitter? They'll never work.
Greg Valoria has.
Twitter never work. Come on.
Gazillion.
Who wants to write only 140 characters? And
Speed round.
Speed round. Okay, Spinach. Well, I thought this was kind of interesting. I follow a lot of science stuff. So, so does Popeye. But Spinach, some research.
Again, Greg. Dating yourself again. 60 Minutes and Popeye.
I know. Yeah,
That's be the title of the show.
60 Minutes and Popeye. I'm sorry. I can't even focus now. I know. I'm reading Scientific American articles. Get over that, huh? Anyway, Spinach works as a hidden bomb detector. So thanks to Scientific American for this. So some scientists have made a discovery that a plant could soak up molecules that could detect potentials like a signature that would have to do with bombs. so they're harnessing a lot of the power of what plants do is filter things in the soil and actually bring it up through its tree system and do something with it. So this is a fascinating thing. They're just using plants to try to use to detect contaminants in the soil, which could be bombs and they could put these little microbes of these things, these plants in some place and then somehow detect it and do that. I mean, catch that. We had the link there and you could read a little bit more about this kind of nanotube technology that they're using, a really micro technology that they're using to harness the inner workings of plants to detect things. So anyway,
amazing.
That's a real quick speed round thing. So
all right, tip time. I'll go first. You can close it.
Yeah, go first.
All right. So my tip of the week is a video actually on what's her name? Tina. Last name escapes me. From Swiss-Miss.com has a sort of a lecture series called Creative Mornings, which is held all over the place, but mainly a lot of it is in New York, I think. And I don't know if this talk is held there, but it's Simon Sinek again. It's SIMON or something like that. Google Simon Sinek and in Creative Mornings, I believe it's on YouTube or Vimeo. And the title of the talk is called "Understanding the Game We're Playing." It's a really great talk. It specifically sort of touches on this whole topic that I've had an issue with is this topic of millennials, right? So they're disparaged and with perhaps maybe valid reasons and not valid reasons. I think it's fair to sort of observe any type of generation and make your sort of observations on and your thoughts on that. But he has a really great sort of take on it. It's a free talk to watch. I think it's well worth your time, especially if you're working with millennials or plan on hiring millennials. And think about even the generation after millennials that's coming. And so check it out, Simon Sinek, Sinek, Simon, and it's Understanding the Game We're Playing on, I believe, YouTube, Creative Mornings. All right, Greg, your tip. Greg, did you freeze? Oh, Greg's frozen. Phooey. All right. Well, Greg's.
Yes, I'm here.
He's back. He's back.
I surprised you.
Yes. All right. You were meditating about 60 Minutes and Popeye again. All right.
Yeah, Popeye. Anyway,
Charlie Chaplin. Talkies, black and white.
Just want to let you know, if you have an alternative fuel vehicle, you will not be stranded on the road. There's this map, by the Federal Highway Administration of all people, right? Yeah. Not Google, that has a series of alternative fuel networks covering the whole major corridors across the United States. And you could check this out. I think this is the tip I wanted to give you guys because there's a lot more alternative fuel vehicles out there than there were, 10 years ago. And so hydrogen, propane, natural gas, things like that, charging for electrical vehicles, you'll find it all here and you'll find the most efficient way to go down a road with your alternative fuel vehicle. So anyway, there's hope for you guys yet, even with you guys without compressed natural gas cars, CNG cars.
Hydrogen and electric and the whole thing.
Oh yeah, exactly. So
anyway, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
All right, brother. Thanks a lot.
Another wonderful podcast. Thanks again, everyone. We are Nerdstalker, nerdstalker.com, Nerdstalker TV on YouTube. I'm Adolfo Fronda at Nerdstalker on Twitter, really, at A Fronda, which I never update. And Greg, how do we get a hold of you, brother?
Hey, my name is Greg Valoria, aka Social Greg on Twitter, and get a hold of me at socialgreg@nerdstalker.com if you want to email me, pitch me a story, or help you with something. I don't know. I'll help you. I'll help you.
That's right. Yeah. We'll help you.
I'll help anybody.
He's a helper.
I'm a helper.
All
I'm
right.
an enabler.
Well, thank you, everyone, for listening and watching again.
Yes. Thank you. We can't do it without you. Appreciate it.
All right. Be safe out there.
Be careful out there.
All right. That's it. Boop. See you guys.